What's up guys, Spin Firearms here, and today we're going to be comparing the Smith & Wesson CSX, and we're going to be comparing it to the Kimber CDS9 Classic, a new release from Kimber. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is a while back I did the Kimber CDS9 original, which is over $1,000, which is more expensive and out of a lot of people's budget, which I completely understand. And it didn't make as much sense because the CSX is roughly $500 to $700, somewhere in that range. But now that Kimber released the CDS9 Classic for $700, and it just comes with unlimited features and good qualities about it, I had to make the comparison. Especially because the new CSX E-Series is sitting in between, $600 and $650. And I think that the value that comes with the CDS9 Classic versus a $600 or $650 CSX is extremely noticeable. So that's what we're going to touch on. And the reason also why is they're both metal frame, hammer fired micro 9s. And there are not too many in its category. Yes, there's single stacks like the 938 and the 911 from Springfield and stuff like that, but there's not too many stack and a half that are top-notch quality and reliable. So I thought we would compare them today. Let's start with the CSX. In this setup, it is 12 plus 1. And yes, this little extra gap adds 2 rounds. The flush mag sits up here and sort of looks weird, and that's going to be 10 rounds. I get why they do that for mag-restricted states and stuff like that, but in my opinion, if you're going to be selling it to a state that doesn't have those restrictions, just give us 2 12-round mags. It doesn't even add anything compared to where that 10-round mag sits. It doesn't even make sense. But it sits at actually 12 rounds in the setup, plus 1. And it comes with that awesome Smith & Wesson finish on their newer handguns that's absolutely flawless. Just a perfect finish for a carry gun. For its serrations, rear serrations, a really nice looking slide, nice and plain looking. And then on this side, that's what it's going to look like. Now they even bumped out the rear of the slide a little bit to make little wings, simply because of how smooth that finish is. If your fingers slip, at least you have this little, notching out of the slide to get latch onto. Then for sights, you're going to get your typical Smith & Wesson 3-dot sights, not tritium or night sights or anything like that. And they're just going to be white dots with that textured rear sight that helps with glare. And also that's why you have this texturing up front, is when you're going to shoot and go to line up your sights, so there's no glare coming off of that slide. Now, people destroyed this handgun when it first came out. Absolutely destroyed it. They ripped on it, said the trigger's terrible. I felt the complete opposite. And I guess that's just me. I feel the complete opposite about a lot of ways people feel about a lot of stuff, because I know a lot of it's not genuine. I know a lot of it is paid for, their opinions, and so on. And this gun was just unbelievable from the minute I got it. I have videos from when I first started the channel of me mag dumping this thing, 12 plus 1 in 2.5 seconds. And if you want to look it up, type in Spin Firearms Smith & Wesson CSX mag dump, and you'll find the video. 13 rounds in 2.5 seconds of a 9mm micro pistol. I think that speaks a lot to the shootability of this gun. And also, if you're wondering, did I hit the target? Of course I hit the target. It was actually a really good grouping. Now, no rail, which we'll touch on in a second. Then for a trigger, you have a nice open trigger guard. And you have this trigger, which is 1911 style somewhat. But what makes it a little difference is it does have a trigger dingus on it, which is pretty dang popular nowadays for carry guns. But a lot of people didn't like it because, I'll show you, unbelievable trigger. I can't believe people didn't like it. The reset is where people had the problem. Ready? They said there's a false reset there, as if this isn't one of the shortest resets on a pistol that's a carry gun. So literally when you're shooting it, just release the finger. It's simple. You're not going to be shooting in a self-defense encounter and like, okay, I felt the first click, second one, okay, now shoot. You're just going to rip this gun. And it's such a short trigger, pulling your finger off just a little bit opens up that trigger for you. So it's not a big deal whatsoever. A super ergonomic handgun. It feels really good in the hand with this palm swell right here. There's some really nice texturing to it. And there's other options as well that come with it. And then you have texturing up front. Other than that, I will say the rest of the handgun is pretty dang slippery. But once again, I've said this for years. You guys can go back and look at all my videos. This is one of the flattest shooting carry guns out there. It handles recoil so well. Even though it's a metal frame gun, you don't really feel that felt recoil in the hand. It's not awkward. It's not uncomfortable. It's a really nice feeling handgun. And in terms of how short it is up top, the slide is extremely small. It's that beaver tail that sticks out, making the handgun a little bit longer. But overall, I really like everything about this handgun, never had a problem. And now they released the Smith & Wesson CSX E-Series, and they also made one with a longer slide, like a 3.7 or something like that. And I was dry firing at my local gun range, and I noticed people were complaining about the trigger on this thing. I felt that trigger, it was worse, and that one had a worse false reset. So I don't understand what Smith & Wesson did or upgraded on the E-Series, other than a couple of features that don't really matter as much, especially when you're paying an extra $100, $150. But I like the trigger better on this, and I don't know if it's because it's broken in or what it is. But everything functions really well in this handgun. Barrel wear is pretty minimal for how many rounds that have been through it. It's a great gun. Now we have the Smith & Wesson CDS9 Classic. And this definitely outshines the CSX. I'll be honest, I love them both. I think they're both great guns. That's what the footprint looks like side to side. 13 plus 1 on the right. And then we have 12 plus 1 on the left. So you can see the CSX might even be winning that battle by about a round if you were to equal out the base plates. Then the width of the slide is definitely wider on the CDS9 Classic. And then when you come down to the frame, it's about the same. Now, up top, if you go slide to slide, this is what it looks like. Barrel to barrel, because they have the same length barrel dang near, and then beaver tail to beaver tail. So very comparable up top. And I think guns like this is what's missing in the carry world. Like I've been saying for a while, if they made a Sig Sauer 938 with that old Sig quality, that's a stack and a half, game changer. If they release a Springfield Armory 911, stack and a half, it would be a game changer. I don't get why they don't do it. So you have the CDS9 Classic. It has an awesome finish on it. You know, very comparable finishes, even though they're different, they're both great. Forward serrations as well. Rear serrations, which obviously you can see the change from the original CDS9, and stuff like that costs money. Getting serrations like that on that gun. So they went to a more classic approach. Night sights on this, which is going to cost you, already $80 for a good pair of tritium night sights. $60 to $100 is what you're going to pay for tritium night sights. So we'll just say $80. So that's another upgrade for the CDS9 Classic from the CSX. On top of that, I really like the way this gun looks. I think it has an awesome look to it. So does the CSX, and I like how this is smaller. So I do like this better about the CSX versus the CDS9. Sorry guys, it's a mouthful. Then when it comes down to it, neither have a rail, so that's not even something we can talk about, but this one does. Then when you come to the overall texturing, this wins by far. It has a little bit of grip on the back, whereas this has that palm swell, but this has grip all the way along the sides on both sides, and that's where your hand's mostly going to be touching, mostly going to be gripping is here, here, and then here. So this definitely wins on the texturing. Ergonomics, I think the CSX feels great in the hand, so nothing against that. But these handguns are just next level comfortable in the hand. They fit the average size. I wear size large gloves. I have shorter fingers that are fatter, but I wear size large gloves, and they fit pretty snug. But overall, this fits my hand really well in terms of overall ergonomics. So I could see most people having a good experience with this. Larger trigger guard on the CDS9 versus the CSX, which I do like, even though that's plenty big. And then we have an unreal trigger on the CDS9, which I do like this trigger better than the CSX. No trigger dingus either. This trigger is just so much easier to shoot. It's crisp, it's clean, no false reset, good to go. Now, one thing I will say about the CSX, which most 1911 style guns are, ambidextrous. So if you're a lefty, this is a great option. Also, the CDS9, ambidextrous as well. Another great option. You'll just have to flip that mag release on them. Then from there, magazine options are 10 and 12 rounds. And now that the new E-Series came out, I believe there's larger ones. On this, it's going to be 10 rounds flush, 13 rounds, and then 15 that sits to about here. And really good quality mags from both companies, so you got to respect it. Smith & Wesson always has really good quality mags. People didn't like the fact that this moves around so much either. Who cares? It's not that serious. Trust me, it doesn't matter when your life is on the line. Then, overall, between these two guns, I do like the CDS9 Classic, but it is a very close comparison. Very close. I like them both. You can't go wrong with either. I just think for the money overall, you're getting better texturing versus maybe having to add some grips to here. You're getting better sights, whereas on the CSX, Overall, you're getting better capacity for its size, and it is smaller, so it's a more traditional carry size gun. Overall, you can't go wrong with either. They're both great guns. Just my opinion. Like I said, if I had to rate them, I think the CDS9 Classic is a 9 out of 10, and the CSX is literally an 8.5 out of 10. You can't go wrong with either. They are both great guns. But obviously, the CSX or CDS9 is going to be a little bit heavier as well. But yeah, you can't go wrong with either. Thanks for watching, guys.